Meanwhile, we've been saying it for years. Now there is hard scientific evidence that big tech is in fact harming our children. A new 60 Minutes report this week highlighted research that shows children who use tablets, smartphones, and other screens for more than 7 hours a day, and that's a lot of kids, believe it or not, are developing different brain structures. Their brains are being damaged by this. Tom Kersting is a psychotherapist who's written extensively on this subject, and he joins us tonight. You must feel vindicated by this report, Tom.
I do. I'm actually happy to see it, to be honest with you, because it's something I've been speaking about for so many years at lectures and in my book. And now we could finally have some scientific preliminary evidence showing exactly what all of this tech is doing to the brain.
So what is it doing?
Well, first of all, the area of the brain called the cortex, which is the outer layer of the brain, the preliminary study that the researchers conducted shows a premature thinning of that part of the brain, okay? Which is kind of frightening considering the importance of that part of the brain, what it does, how it's very important just for human beings in terms of organizing, planning, and a host of other different things. Another component that you don't hear much about is something called neuroplasticity, which is actually the greatest breakthrough in modern day psychology. And the term plasticity meaning that the brain, although very strong and rigid, can be molded and shaped if placed in the right environment for 3 or more hours per day. We know that the average kid is spending 9 hours a day on average in what I consider to be the most highly stimulating of worlds. And what happens is the brain will actually grow new neural pathways, or will reorganize its circuitry to adapt to that cyber world. And the problem is, what I'm seeing clinically is an unadapting of young kids in the real world, having a very difficult time coping with just the trivial nuances of life. The anxiety disorders, the depressions, and so forth.
Yeah, well, and it's all kinds of measurements are showing the horrifying results of it. How young exactly are kids getting addicted?
Well, we're seeing right now that there's some research that came out recently that there's kids as young as 2 years old showing signs of depression. And right now the average age for first smartphone issuance is about age 10. And, you know, when I give lectures, every parent knows that this is bad, but it's sort of, you know, what you talk about, you love the term groupthink. I use the term social conformity. We tend to do what everybody else is doing. And parents, anybody listening, you have got to do what is in the best interest of your child, not what everybody else around you is doing.
So can you just give me the 20-second answer to the question I always ask you, which is why are we so passive in the face of this? If 2-year-olds were huffing on Marlboros, we'd say, you know what, no, not allowed. But we just sort of sit back and let our society collapse in the face of this. Why?
Well, the reason, in my opinion, the reason why is, and I always talk about common sense, all right? It's pretty clear if we go walk around and everybody's got their heads buried in a device all day long. You pull up to a traffic light and they can't even contain themselves for a minute without looking at their device. It's pretty clear that it's having an impact on their behavior. Now, the reason why nobody's doing anything about it is because we're always looking for scientific evidence, all right? And now we have some of it, and we're going to start seeing a lot more of it. And we're going to start seeing some changes as a result, Tucker.
Yeah, and we waited too long for the studies to confirm the obvious. Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Hollywood doesn't need to remake 1984 again. Not that they would, it's probably illegal. But they already do a perfect job of replicating it